Hello everyone and welcome to Meeple Leaf Reviews. I'm Jeffrey Weber and today I'm going to be doing a before and after where I take a look at a game before and after my very first play. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Antiquity, a Splotter game. Now, the first Splotter game that I played was Food Chain Magnate. I really enjoyed that game. Then I picked up Indonesia and I thoroughly enjoyed my plays of those. So when I heard that another Splotter game, Antiquity, was going to be back in print, I jumped at the opportunity to pre-order it. So now it's here and I have it set up on the table and I'm ready to play. So what are my expectations going into this game? Number one, it's a civilization kind of city building game. I love games that have that aspect. It has a spatial component as well with the buildings that you're going to be building in this square city grid. So they're all different shapes. You're going to have to fit them together, trying to figure out what is the most efficient placement of the buildings. I like that idea in this game. It has an unforgiving nature too, and it's stated right in the rulebook how unforgiving the game can be. It even says that you should expect to have to play it a couple times to learn how to play. And the unforgiving nature has to do with pollution that your cities are going to be producing, as well as famine. You're going to have to keep getting more and more food to feed people. Otherwise, you're going to get graves, and then they're going to eat up spaces on your city board, or it's even going to shut down some of your buildings. So you're going to have to manage these constantly assaulting things that are hitting you for pollution and famine. And I like that. I like too how the rulebook mentions that it's going to take a couple of plays, because it means that there's a lot of depth here, a lot of strategy that you can try and reveal over multiple plays. It isn't going to be figured out after the first one. It suggests an introductory game to start out. I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be jumping straight into the full game, because I did that with Food Chain Magnate, and I played the introductory game and I let it sit for such a long time afterwards because it didn't entice me. And then once I played the full game, I was like, wow, this is something special. So I'm not going to make the same mistake I did with Food Chain. I'm jumping right into the main game. The other cool thing that I thought was interesting in this game is the choose your own victory condition. You can't win the game until you build a cathedral in one of your cities, and when you do, you select how are you going to win the game, your victory condition, as well as giving you a special power to help achieve that victory. So that's another neat aspect that I think I'm going to look forward to in this game. The only worry that I have going in is that with the map and the hexes being so small and the amount of components that you're going to be putting onto the map, I think that it's going to be quite fiddly, and I just hope that fiddliness doesn't interrupt the gameplay or the enjoyment of the gameplay. But other than that, I'm really looking forward to playing, and I can't wait to get to the table. So I'm going to play the game, come back, and then see what my first impressions of Antiquity are. Hello everyone and welcome back. I just finished my first play of Antiquity. Now I played it 2-player, and like I mentioned in the before, we played the regular game. We did not do the introductory version, so we had to contend with all the famine and the pollution in this game, as well as it took us an hour and 40 minutes to play the first game. So what are my first impressions? Well, the game was definitely difficult. I think there's definitely a steep learning curve to the game, just as they mentioned in the rulebook. I could see how after multiple plays you could start to kind of get a feel for what you want to do, and the decisions that you make early can have huge ramifications later on. So having that extra knowledge at the beginning of the game can definitely help set you up for a better mid and late game. It was definitely difficult to manage that famine and the pollution. The pollution I got under control quickly, but that famine, no matter what you do, it just keeps ramping up. So you're always having to try and stay ahead of the curve. Otherwise, your cities are going to fill up with graves. The spatial component was pretty cool. The different buildings being different shapes. And like I reached a certain point where I wanted to build a particular type of building, but it was a weird enough shape that I couldn't fit it onto my home city board, so then I needed to expand, but to expand I needed different luxury goods, so then I need to build a mine to get gold and maybe get some pearls, and then I can build a new city. So it's all these kind of little things that you need to manage in order to get things done. Nothing was easy to do in this game, even though most of the buildings only cost 1 wood to produce. Their shapes can become prohibitive. The amount of space they take up can become prohibitive. Really cool. And then the other thing, that most of the buildings need a man on them in order to work, and then you start running out of people because they're out gathering you resources. So then you need to build more houses, but then the houses need more food, and then if you're spending that food, then you don't have that food to help protect against the famine. So there's all these kind of different interlocking things that you need to be aware of in order to try and be successful. And that's just to stay afloat in the game. And when you pick your cathedral, you're locking in what you need to do to get your victory condition. So I did St. Cristofori, where you need to have 3 of every luxury and food. So I actually won the game. We succeeded. We did not succumb to the famine and the pollution. But it was really tough, especially in that early game, trying to stay ahead of all that stuff. So yeah, overall, I thought it was a cool game. Definitely, this felt like a learning experience. I could start to see how some of the things click together. The other thing that I mentioned in the before that I was worried about was the fiddly nature of the game. I mean, you're putting hexes out and then pollution discs out on top of that, and then you're putting goods, and then you're putting your person on top of that. So you have all these small hexes with all of this stuff happening. So if you're not careful, you could potentially knock or jostle some things, and then that could make a huge mess. It was definitely fiddly, but I think in the long run, that fiddliness is going to be worth it, because I think there's something really cool going on in this game, and I'm looking forward to playing it again and exploring and trying out different strategies for a cathedral, and then trying out different cathedrals, and then you can even try the one cathedral where you get all the special abilities of all the cathedrals, but then you need to achieve 2 victory conditions. So overall, I enjoyed the game. Looking forward to playing it again. And that's my first impressions of Antiquity. If you like this video, go down, hit the like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and we will see you guys next time.